Good morning. Before I even introduce myself, chairs? Oh my goodness. Okay, humor me on this. Leonard Cohen, right? Hallelujah. 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 Thank you, thank you. I know it's a sad song, but that's what we do in my family. We sing the Leonard Cohen chorus.
This is all because of all of you.
This is all because of all of you, these chairs. Because you raised the money to buy these chairs. I'm repeating that for the people on Zoom.
Thank you.
Yes. Speaking of raising money, I'm going to invite Kate McDevitt up to talk about something that happened last night. Anybody know?
Okay.
Our auction, yeah.
All right, so for the last time this year, I'm Kate, one of your auction co-chairs, and yeah, we had a fun event last night, I think, right? Yeah. All right, so I want to thank all of our volunteers, our 80 donors this year, and our 76 winning bidders. That's fantastic, community. After everything, we raised $25,615. And we also wanted to recognize that we know it's a tough time right now for a lot of people, so that is really outstanding. So thank you all. Statement and donation emails went out last night, so if you didn't get one, see me. It may be in your junk mail, but yeah, see me. If you're one of the donors, make sure to touch base with the people who won your things. If you're one of the bidders and you need to pay, you can do that on Octria anytime, or you can write out a check to avoid the credit card fees and put it in the offertory or mail it to the church. Don't give it to me. I don't know what to do with it. And then finally, I am happy to accept any auction feedback, including suggestions for next year's theme, if you have one. So thank you all again. I really appreciate it.
All right, so I am the Reverend William Levwood, affectionately known as Rev Lev. My pronouns are he and him. And I'm so happy to be the minister here at Accotink Unitarian Universalist Church. And whether you're joining us in person or online, let us center ourselves for worship by taking a deep breath together. We open and welcome to the ancestral people of this land, acknowledging that our church, like all of Burke, rests on the unceded territory of the Manahoac tribe of the Great Sioux Nation. We seek healing and the realization of justice with the people of this land who live on in their descendants, the present-day members of the Monacan Indian Nation, the Patawomic Indian tribe of Virginia, and the Piscataway Indian Nation. We honor the ancestors as we move toward healing so that all together shall one day know full justice.
Welcome to Accotink Unitarian Universalist Church. I am Christina Watts, and my pronouns are she and her, and I'm happy to be your worship associate today. If you aren't new to Accotink, look around. Do you see people that you haven't met or haven't spoken to in a while? These people want to meet you. Help us live up to our mission to be a welcoming and inclusive spiritual home for all by reaching out and making a connection. By visiting this congregation, newcomers are in a transition moment. And people in transitions are more open to new friendships. That means that your new best friend might be here this morning, and this is your chance to get to know them. Whether you're a longtime member or a newcomer or something in between, we encourage you to stay for our social hour, online and in person, immediately after the service. We're so delighted that you decided to join us today. Welcome.
I like to talk about at the beginning of this service to give kind of a map of where we've been and where we're going. So next Sunday we have our Samhain service hosted by our pagan group, Sacred Wheel. I feel like it's a good bridge between our monthly theme for this month of cultivating compassion and for November, which is nurturing gratitude, as you'll be invited to honor beloved ancestors. Reminder to bring photos next Sunday. Also, Trunk or Treat happens after the service next Sunday as well. Then the first Sunday in November, as we always do, we're going to celebrate All Souls with a reading of names of those who are part of our memorial garden or on our memorial tree. It's a very wonderful tradition and important thing that we do annually every year. And sometimes, not every year, but sometimes we also schedule our music Sunday on that Sunday. So that's what we did this year, and we've got the choir singing, we've got other musicians from Accotink providing music, and once again we have the Gay Men's Chorus of Washington's small ensemble, Seasons of Love ensemble, joining us again this year. Yeah, people remember them from the last 2 years, I think, we've had them join us. So that's going to be wonderful. Also, in November, the potluck is on the first Sunday of the month, not the second Sunday, on the first Sunday of the month in November. So get that on your minds and in your calendars, because the second Sunday of the month, which also will be our multi-generational service, which is usually on the first Sunday, but will be on the second Sunday in November, we'll also have our meal pack after the service. Also, the multi-generational service in November will be a bread and cider communion, which is one of my favorite rituals that we do as Unitarian Universalists. So this Sunday, I've been sharing that we're building a systematic theology together. That means taking theology beyond the question of God or not God and extending it into those big questions about how we make meaning and give a framework for how we live our lives. And I think that's especially important to do in these challenging times as a support for us. And so today I'm going to be exploring soteriology, which is the question of what saves us or what protects us from evil. So I'm going to explore that later in the service in relation to compassion and how compassion can be an antidote to cruelty and to apathy that allows cruelty to happen. So with that in mind, we're also trying to keep our hopes up these days, and we've got some good news. Thank you again to our Social Justice Chair, John Peterson, for sharing this. I'm going to share good news at the beginning and the end of the service today. I just think we need a lot of good news. So I wanted to share with you that solar will likely blow past wind to become the U.S.'s third largest source of electricity by the end of this year, 2025. Solar was 75% of recent electricity installations, with wind second at 15% and natural gas the remaining 10%. It'd be nice if we had solar panels on our roof. Oh, wait. We do! California refineries are also closing as gasoline demand slips into permanent decline. Gasoline demand in California is down 1.6 billion gallons per year, a steady decline for the last 5 years. You sense a theme, a climate justice related theme. The last good news I want to share with you before we light our chalice is energy related carbon emissions dropped 20% from 2005 to 2023 in the US, despite 14% population growth, a 20% decline even though there's a 14% increase in population. So that's some good news. So Clark Akers is going to light our chalice this morning. I invite you all to rise in body or in spirit and join in reciting the words on the screen that describe how we put love at the center of Unitarian Universalism and cultivate compassion and generosity. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. As an expression of the value of generosity, we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared value of generosity through the spiritual discipline of love.
So my name is Vanessa Hall. My pronouns are she, her. And Michelle Anderson asked me to step in for her today, which I could never fill her shoes because I am so impressed by how organized everything is for RE. And when you play DSD for a day, you really see the amount of organization and great work she does. So just a little shout out to her. So I am going to be reading a book, and it's going to show, oh, great, thank you. So one of my favorite things to do is read, and I have the good fortune to read The Light Within You, which is going to be about Diwali, if you all don't know. And for all parents with FCPS children in this room, please be aware tomorrow is a student holiday. So your kids will be home from school tomorrow, FYI, if you didn't already know that. Oh, and Tuesday, thank you, and Tuesday for Prince William. So I'll begin. The Light Within You. Dia was ready. She was going to visit her grandma in India for Diwali, the Festival of Lights. Dia hadn't seen Nanny in a long time, not since they moved from India. Now Dia's family had moved again to another new city, another new school, and her classmates didn't know much about Diwali and wondered why she was going away for 3 whole weeks. Dia missed India. Dia missed Nani. Nani was her best friend in the whole world. Why did she have to live so far away? Dia had done the math. It was 7,850 miles to get to India. It took 24 hours for the journey, 1 whole day. After 2 cars, 2 planes, and 1 rickshaw ride, they were finally here at Nani's. Dia saw a flash of gold and then ting, ting, ting. Nani emerged waving a prayer bell. Welcome home. Nani's house was filled with old photos. Dia ran her hand over the frames. Time to make new memories, Nani said. Let's go shopping. Shallow. At the bazaar, Dia marveled at the displays. Nani beamed and bargained. Your granddaughter's here, everyone said. She looks just like you. In Dia's new town, no one looked like her. Here with Nani, everything felt warm, familiar, and comforting. Dia wished she could stay here forever. Time to make Diwali sweets, Nani said. In the kitchen, Dia's taste buds tingled at the smell of ghee, the sizzle of sweet jalebi, and a snowstorm of coconut ladoos. Coconut. Nani showed Dia how to roll the ladoos while Dia told her all about her new school. Making friends can be hard, Nani said. Maybe I should make some ladoos for my classmates, Dia thought. You know, when things are tough on the outside, it helps to brighten your light on the inside, Nani said. Dia looked surprised. There's a light inside me? We all have an inner light, Dia. When you believe in yourself, your light shines bright and the darkness will fade away. Dia watched the city sparkle at night. Rainbow-colored Rangoli brightened wide open doors, waiting to welcome aunties and uncles, friends and neighbors, and perhaps even a goddess or 2. Dia admired Nani's saris in rich silks and satins. She twirled in a lehenga made just for her. Together they sparkled in sequins, pink and gold, beautiful bindies, and jingle-jangle bangles. My classmates might like some bangles, Dia thought. And then the sun sank low. Nanny led Dia outside, and now, light of my life, you have the most important job of the day. Dia was ready. Apparently my light is shining as well. Together with Nani, Dia carefully lit little Diwali lamps. Shining diyas just like my Dia, Nani said. Hundreds of diyas lit up the night. Ooh, I love that picture. That looks lovely. Happy Diwali! Namaste, come in. Guests arrived in their newest and best, bright, beaming, and radiant. Dia, you've grown so much, they said, making a dash for Nanny's coconut ladoos. Friends, family, and food filled Nanny's garden. Fireworks fizzled in the late evening day. Dia, you and I are like these sparklers, Nana said as their sparklers touched. We share a special connection and light each other up. Dia felt her inner light brighten. It was the kind of night where everything felt right. But soon, the laughter-filled evening ended with 100 goodbyes. And just like that, Diwali was over. An unsettling silence sneaked up on Dia. Soon she would have to say goodbye to Nanny and this place that felt like home, and Dia felt her light dim. Nanny sat with Dia. Even on this moonless night, the diyas bring light into our world and show us the way. But they'll soon be gone tomorrow, Nanny, said Dia. Diwali is more than a festival, Nanny said. It's the light within you. Your inner light is your special spark. It will bring you joy and brighten the world around you. Love that. Nanny had saved one last gift for Dia, a box of diyas, a box of lights. Diyas for my Dia, Nanny said, hugging her tight. Bravely spread love and light wherever you go in the world. Dia glowed. Dia was ready to spread the light when she returned home. Thank you all very much.
Today's reading is from Jelaluddin Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. A close childhood friend once came to visit Joseph. They had shared the secrets that children tell each other when they're lying in their pillows at night before they go to sleep. These two were completely truthful with each other. The friend asked, "What was it like when you realized your brothers were jealous and what they had planned to do?" "I felt like a lion with a chain around its neck, not degraded by the chain and not complaining, but just waiting for my power to be recognized." "How about down in the well and in prison? How is it then?" "Like the moon when it's getting smaller, yet knowing the fullness to come. Like a seed pearl ground in the mortar for medicine that knows it will now be the light of the human eye. Like a wheat grain that breaks open in the ground, then grows, then gets harvested, then crushed in the mill for flour, then baked, then crushed again between teeth to become a person's deepest understanding. Lost in love, like songs the planters sing, the night after they sow the seed."
So this morning I hope to convey this truth that hurt, pain, suffering can lead us to cruelty or to apathy or to compassion. One way to respond to suffering is to try to win out against an enemy, to see suffering as something we can avoid if we make sure we end up on top at the expense of others. They suffer, so we will not. Another way is to try to avoid suffering by pretending it isn't happening, to look away. Compassion is the alternative choice. When we choose compassion, we choose to let suffering break us open as a seed breaks open, growing toward the light. When we cultivate compassion, our suffering connects us to others, calls us to reach out in love, to offer the support of our presence, or to provide sustenance to another. I'm going to share a bit of a story, and first I want to give some context. Clarence Jordan, who was a Baptist minister, activist, and translator of the Cotton Patch Gospel version of the Christian New Testament, and also started in 1942 the first intentionally interracial farm in America in the heart of the Jim Crow South in Americus, Georgia. Clarence Jordan compared the parables of Jesus to the Trojan horse. He wrote that the parables seem simple, innocent, non-threatening, so we let them into our heart, only to find later on that they are there to upturn the tables in the corrupted temple of our souls, that they are seeds planted to break through the barren rock of our spirits, using our heartbreak for heartbreak through, so that the great tree of love, compassion, and justice will break forth into blossom through our living. Vietnamese Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh's book, A Guide to Walking Meditation, which was published in 1985 by the Fellowship of Reconciliation and is now out of print, is like this, is a Trojan horse parable. It begins by laying out the foundations of Buddhist walking meditation. The teacher says to let go of your sorrows and worries, to rest while walking in peace and in joy, surrounded by rice paddies, green grasses, and fruit trees, lemon trees, orange trees, banana trees, pine trees, apricot trees, and willow trees. The teacher goes on to tell us this very earth is a heavenly paradise, the pure land of the Buddha, that we can experience that otherworldly heaven right here and right now by walking peacefully, mindfully, joyfully. Next, the teacher instructs us in the practical steps, no pun intended, for engaging in walking meditation. Placing a slight smile on our face, aligning our breath with our steps by counting how many steps we take with each inhale, how many steps with each exhale. Then the teacher returns us to the pure land, telling us to embody the Buddha, to imagine that with each step, a lotus flower is blooming beneath our feet, making the earth a heavenly paradise with each step. But then, like a Zen temple that has guided us along a narrow corridor, a stairway that requires us to focus on each step before arriving through an archway to an expansive view of beautiful forests below us, stretching out for miles, and a majestic mountain on the horizon. Or, like Stevie Wonder sings in his song, Rocket Love, you took me riding in your rocket, gave me a star, but at a half a mile from heaven, you dropped me back down to this cold, cold world. Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen teacher, drops us back down into the suffering world, reminding us of our responsibility for making heaven on earth by reminding us that we are destroying the environment, that many animals have already become extinct, that we've manufactured over 50,000 nuclear weapons, enough to exterminate scores of planets like ours. He tells us of the destruction caused by the Vietnam War, of people who lost an arm and can no longer join their palms together to pray to Buddha or to greet each other, of the many who lost a leg and can no longer sit in lotus or half-lotus position to meditate, and can no longer practice walking meditation. Now, I just described the story as if we're dropped into suffering, as if we've been manipulated, jilted like a lover in Stevie's song, or lulled to sleep only to be harshly startled into wakefulness by a practical jokester sibling throwing cold water on us. But the experience of reading the book, A Guide to Walking Meditation, is more like the calm of the walking meditation. Through even just the description of walking meditation, has prepared us, has given us a foundation of calm, of equanimity, so that we're able to face the enormity of it all and to open in compassion to the suffering of the earth. And then Thich Nhat Hanh reveals the insight that he's hidden in the Trojan horse, writing, "Now I must tell you that this samsaric world is better than the Pure Land because of the presence of suffering. If I hesitate about entering the Pure Land, it is not just because it has no star fruit and lemon trees, but also because there is no suffering. Awareness of suffering generates compassion, and compassion is the will to practice the way. If you do not see this, if you do not understand this, then your love is not yet love." Then Thich Nhat Hanh, our teacher, points out that while we can embody the Buddha, and that that Buddha that we can embody isn't just the beauty of a yellow flower or a white cloud or the shimmering clear light of the moon. The true face of our essential nature, he writes, is also the swamp and muddy waters of greed, hatred, and ignorance. He continues, truth is also suffering and the hurt human beings inflict on each other. Now, Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker, in the book A House for Hope, that book of systematic theology, shares that there is a version of Christianity that describes sin as an evil outside of us, tempting us to disobey God. In contrast, progressive Christianity defines sin in the same way as we've just heard Vietnamese Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh describe it, as the hurt human beings inflict on each other and on all beings who dwell with us on earth. Suffering is not to be avoided, because it is our very awareness of suffering, I should say awareness of suffering is not to be avoided because it is our very awareness of suffering that generates compassion. And compassion is the antidote to greed, hatred, and ignorance. Sin, a word we often shy away from, sin in this telling is not something outside of us to be vanquished, not some other person or group who we need to defeat to be free of evil. That theology we reject. But sin in this telling is our own tendency to look away from suffering, to pretend it isn't happening around us, to pretend it's not a possibility for us to inflict harm ourselves. Because only when we acknowledge and attend to the suffering in the world within our own souls, within our communities, within our nation, are we able to cultivate a compassionate spirit that responds to this suffering with empathy, with a desire for healing, and by working for justice to liberate us and others from oppression. In systematic theology, this is known as soteriology, which just means the study of the question of salvation. And progressive religion, Rebecca Parker tells us, says that we're not hoping to be saved from eternal torture in some otherworldly hell after we die. We're choosing to be saved from our own ability to inflict harm on each other, on the other beings with whom we share this earthly home. We save ourselves and each other from this harm by first acknowledging that we do inflict harm, and then by cultivating a compassion that brings healing, a love that liberates, and a covenant that cares for the web of life and all beings. Now, we had a little Rumi earlier. I promised you Rumi, the Sufi sheikh, as well as the Zen sensei. I promised Emerson, too, in my service description, but this time the Unitarian didn't make the cut. Here is how Rumi, in a translation from Coleman Barks, shares this same perennial wisdom. Bring an empty mirror and your worst destructive habits. When they are held up to each other, that's when the real healing begins. Your doctor must have a broken leg to doctor. Your defects are the ways that glory gets manifested. Whoever sees clearly what's diseased in themselves begins to gallop on the way. There is nothing worse than thinking you are well enough. More than anything, self-complacency blocks the healing. Put your vileness up to a mirror and weep. Get that self-satisfaction flowing out of you. Satan thought, I am better than Adam. And that better than is still strongly in us. And the next lines of Rumi's poem, which are likely where we get the original version of Leonard Cohen's famous line telling us there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Here's what Rumi wrote centuries earlier. Your stream water may look clean, but there's unstirred matter on the bottom. Your sheikh can dig a side channel that will drain that waste off. Trust your wound to a teacher's surgery. Let a teacher put a bandage on the wound. Don't turn your head. Keep looking at the bandaged place. That's where the light enters you. Now, I shared last Sunday briefly the oft-quoted phrase, hurt people, hurt people. And I shared a counterpoint from Muslim rapper Brother Ali, hurt people can also heal people. I think this underscores that it isn't a given that the awareness of suffering births compassion within us. The truth is perhaps more clearly expressed in the poem from Jelaluddin Rumi than in the song from Leonard Cohen. Cohen says there is a crack in everything. Okay, that is where there's reason to believe Leonard might be quoting Ralph Waldo, who wrote in his journal in April of 1837, and later in an essay, there is a crack in everything God has made. At any rate, Cohen, like Emerson, says there's a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in. But in the Rumi poem, it's a wound. If you look online, you'll see this line attributed to Rumi: the wound is where the light enters. But there isn't a guarantee that the light of compassion and of care will enter through the crack in everything, or that the light of love will enter where the wound is. In fact, Rumi didn't actually say that the wound is where the light enters. Let's revisit what he said. Let the teacher bandage the wound and don't look away. Don't look away from the wound as it heals. The healing is where the light enters. The healing of the wound is the birthplace of compassion, of care, of love, and not the healed wound. Rumi tells us to look at the bandage wound, the wound in the process of healing. The wound of our human potential for cruelty, for the hurt leading to more hurt, is always present, is a feature of human nature. Rebecca Parker writes, "Evil can neither be denied nor destroyed. It is perennial." And it needs to be this way, because without hurt, there is no healing. Without pain, there is no loving. Without suffering, there is no compassion. Rumi, like Thich Nhat Hanh, like Leonard Cohen, who, if you listen to the litany of suffering that precedes those transcendently comforting lines about the crack in everything, all of these poet, prophet, teachers are telling us, look at the suffering and don't look away. See the way humans hurt each other. See how you're no better than anyone else, how you hurt yourself and others through your greed and hatred and ignorance. And then birth the bodhisattva within by choosing to heal. Use the suffering of the world to birth within you a commitment to compassion. I'll close with how Thich Nhat Hanh closes a guide to walking meditation. He writes, "I often tell meditation students, if you can't see what is happening in front of you and around you, how can you understand your true nature? On the contrary, you must open your eyes wide and wake up to the real situation in the world. The bombs, the hunger, the pursuit of wealth and power, these are not separate from your nature. Scented paths across rice fields, shady, bamboo-lined dirt roads, parks covered with dark-colored dry leaves, these are your paths for walking meditation. Please enjoy them. But they should not lead you to forgetfulness. They should bring you the necessary mindfulness so that you can see the real dramas of the world. Then every path, every street, from the back alleys of Beirut to the roads of Vietnam where mines still explode and take the lives of children and farmers, every path in the world is your walking meditation path. Once you are awake, you will not hesitate to enter these paths. You will suffer, but your pain will not come from your own worries and fears. You will suffer, but your pain will not come from your own worries and fears. You will suffer because of your kinship with all beings. Because you have the compassion of an awakened being, a bodhisattva. When you open yourself in this way, your companions will be other beings on the path of awakening who share your insight. They will work with you side by side to alleviate the world's suffering. May it be so, and may we be among those who make it so. Amen, 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 and blessed be.
Please rise now in body or spirit and join us in our closing words. As we extinguish our chalice, I invite you to join me now in our community blessing with these words of David Bumbao, slightly adapted. This church is dedicated to the proposition that by celebrating our differences and embracing our diversity, we honor the unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time, death, and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity. Now that we've gathered together in this welcoming and inclusive spiritual home, let us go out into the world inspired to share our values.